He loved us. Encyclical of Pope Francis on the Sacred Heart of Jesus, DILEXIT nos. A threefold love, number 64. Nor do we remain only on the level of the Lord's human feelings, beautiful and moving as they are. In contemplating Christ's heart, we also see how, in his fine and noble sentiments, his kindness and gentleness, and his signs of genuine human affection, the deeper truth of his infinite divine love is revealed. In the words of Pope Benedict XVI, from the infinite horizon of his love, God wished to enter into the limits of human history and the human condition. He took on a body and a heart. Thus we can contemplate and encounter the infinite in the finite, the invisible and ineffable mystery in the human heart of Jesus the Nazarene. The image of the Lord's heart speaks to us in fact of the threefold love. First, we contemplate his infinite divine love. Then, our thoughts turn to the spiritual dimension of his humanity, in which the heart is the symbol of that most ardent love which, infused into his soul, enriches its human will. Finally, it is a symbol also of his sensible love. These three loves are not separate, parallel, or disconnected, but together act and find expression in a constant and vital unity. For by faith, through which we believe that the human and divine nature were united in the person of Christ, we can see the closest bonds between the tender love of the physical heart of Jesus and the twofold spiritual love, namely human and divine. Entering into the heart of Christ, we feel loved by a human heart filled with affections and emotions like our own. Jesus' human will freely chooses to love us, and that spiritual love is flooded with grace and charity. When we plunge into the depth of his heart, we find ourselves overwhelmed by the immense glory of his infinite love as the eternal Son, which we can no longer separate from his human love. It is precisely in his human love and not apart from it that we encounter his divine love. We discover the infinite in the finite. It is the constant and unequivocal teaching of the Church that our worship of Christ's person is undivided, inseparably embracing both his divine and his human natures. From ancient times, the Church has taught that we are to adore one and the same Christ, the Son of God and of man, consisting of and in two inseparable and undivided natures. And we do so with one act of adoration, inasmuch as the Word became flesh. Christ is in no way worshipped into natures whereby two acts of worship are introduced. Instead, we venerate by one act of worship God the Word made flesh, together with his own flesh. St. John of the Cross sought to explain that, in mystical experience, the infinite love of the risen Christ is not perceived as alien to our lives. The infinite in some way condescends to enable us, through the open heart of Christ, to experience an encounter of truly reciprocal love, for it is indeed credible that a bird of lowly flight can capture the royal eagle of the heights, if this eagle descends with the desire of being captured. He also explains that the bridegroom, beholding that the bride is wounded with love for him, because of her mourn, he too is wounded with love for her. Among lovers, the wound of one is the wound of both. St. John of the Cross regards the image of Christ's pierced side as an invitation to full union with the Lord. Christ is the wounded stag, wounded when we fail to let ourselves be touched by his love, who descends to the streams of water to quench his thirst and is comforted whenever we turn to him. Returned dove, the wounded stag, is in sight on the hill, cooled by the breeze of your flight.